While motorcyclists do take measures to avoid dangerous situations, along with having 47% more total fireworks, even with all the sparks and flames flying everywhere, Simpson says safety is the #1 concern. Docking temporarily here at Pearl Harbor, the USS Stennis has a long list of accomplishments. But here in reality, the sex trafficking industry is the second most lucrative illegal activity in the world. In economic news, a new borrowing deal for the rail project could help save millions of dollars in interest payments. There is no other sound like it. Even harder to miss is when biker buds embark on a group ride. But recently, riders are getting the wrong kind of attention after a driver allegedly targeted a motorcyclist.
I know, like on the one that my friend was involved with, it was malicious. The guy was driving erratic in front of her, swerving back and forth, hitting his brakes.
Jack Hughes heads the motorcycle safety group Watch Out, a nonprofit organization focused on raising awareness for drivers and riders alike. He was concerned when one of his friends was hospitalized after the driver of a white van appeared to have targeted her on an Eva Beach roadway, causing her to crash. Even more disturbing was this apparently wasn't the first time it happened.
One of the things I found out was that several motorcyclists were having incidents, but they weren't reporting anything. Because it wasn't being reported, it's not being linked together.
That prompted Hughes to coordinate a meeting with different motorcycle clubs and the Honolulu police. The goal, to find out how many people have been affected by these incidents and to determine what can be done to avoid more in the future.
I don't know if they realize it. When they're in a vehicle, they're protected, but us out here on two wheels, we don't have the security of a aluminum or a steel frame around us. So if you just tap our tire and we lay our bike down, that could be the end of our life. I don't come home to my daughter and my son.
Statistically, the beginning of this year has been much safer for motorcyclists. As of mid-April, there has only been one fatal motorcycle crash. At this time last year, there were 5 fatal crashes, and in 2012, there were 6. While motorcyclists do take measures to avoid dangerous situations, there are things that the average driver can do to help.
We don't have time to stop and try to dig out a phone and call 911. If you see something in a car, your phone's right there. You can pick up your phone and call 911.
Despite the hazards of the road and the added danger of unsafe drivers, riders say they'll continue to roll on.
High risk, high reward. Riding a motorcycle is like nothing else in the world. Nothing else will ever compare to it. So is it worth the risk? 100%.
Thursday nights are heating up in Kaka'ako. Daring, dramatic performances, a display of mankind's perpetual dance to harness the hottest of Earth's elements.
It started as just friends practicing. We didn't have a big sound system at the time, a little boombox at the most.
Now they have more than 100 followers and dozens of performers, artists who embrace the danger of dancing with fire.
It's something that is forgiving, yet when you make a mistake, you're gonna learn really quickly.
Even with all the sparks and flames flying everywhere, Simpson says safety is the #1 concern. In fact, he sets up the jam session hours before, ensuring the show will be as safe and spectacular as possible.
We have the right safety team and the right fuel station, and that everything's being watched and taken care of.
Perfecting their luminescent technique and inspiring others to test their luck are the ultimate goals of this weekly gathering.
This is my first time here. I was invited by a friend to come listen to some music and feel a little heat.
Like many here, April Williams now has plans to try her hand in the ring of fire.
It's a cool way to express yourself, to move your body.
A flaming hot form of artistic expression scorching its way into the Honolulu nightlife. With the rocket's red glare, the fireworks display off Magic Island celebrating the 4th of July is a grand patriotic display. It's traditionally the state's largest, but that is some 1,200 shells fired from one barge. Imagine over 1,700 fireworks fired on 4 barges for a 20-minute spectacle.
I believe this is the biggest show that's ever been shot in Honolulu.
Crews wired together the explosives for the Nagaoka fireworks show at Honolulu Harbor this afternoon. All of the mortars seen here were donated by Honolulu's sister city Nagaoka, which even sent some of the workers to help set up the pyrotechnics.
It's a celebration of our sister city in Japan, and all of us getting together to put this show and make it a spectacular show.
These were the fireworks from the end of last year's Honolulu Festival. Lyko says this display will pale in comparison to tomorrow's.
The colors are spectacular. You'll notice much brighter greens and reds and blues than any show you've ever seen before.
Along with having 47% more total fireworks, Lyko says they have nearly 10 times as many of these 8-inch shells as compared to the 4th of July. And it's not just a bigger bang for spectators. The festival and fireworks show also mean big bucks for the local economy. Organizers estimate that over the 19 years the festival has been held, attendance has steadily increased, resulting in participants spending nearly $175 million. Lycos hopes the increasing attendance will mean more firepower.
Hopefully the show will be bigger next year.
This small gathering in Kaka'ako is serving as the launch for something organizers hope has a tremendous impact.
Realizing that human trafficking is a bigger problem than we all thought, and so I thought I could address it with a comic book.
Toyoma and John Lewis collaborated for over 2 years to create this, Home of the Brave, and are releasing this teaser to help pique interest in the 135-page graphic novel that addresses the dark world of human trafficking.
It's just a comic book, you know, but it's one of those things that, you know, if we can do it right, then it can go a long way.
With funding from a program called Kickstarter and inspiration from the Pacific Alliance to Stop Slavery, or PASS, the two hope this event will help raise money and support for their endeavor.
I thought it was a good way to tap into a different demographic, a younger demographic that doesn't really talk about human trafficking all that much.
Home of the Brave takes place in a fictitious third world America. But here in reality, the sex trafficking industry is the second most lucrative illegal activity in the world, raking in over $37 billion a year. An illegal activity that was widely unaddressed by Hawaii law until 2011, when 2 bills addressing labor exploitation and prostitution were signed into law.
We feel that it's high time that we end the demand for prostitution, because that's the one definitive way you can kill a business and this global oppression is by ending the demand.
And that's what they plan on doing. 5 more bills addressing human trafficking, the proprietors, the victims, and the customers are all set to be introduced in the 2013 legislative session.
It'd be nice if we could save some lives and change the world and maybe abolish, you know, this modern slavery that we have.
Rolling into Pearl Harbor after a 7-month deployment, the crew of the USS John C. Stennis stood at full attention as hundreds of family and friends eagerly await their arrival on this special day. And it's a particularly special day for Lisa Oliver, who waits proudly for high school sweetheart Brian Burrows. Docking temporarily here at Pearl Harbor, the USS Stennis has a long list of accomplishments, including playing a pivotal role in the drawback of military forces from Iraq and aiding in the rescue of Iranian mariners from pirates.
We had some notable success with counter-piracy, where we found some pirate act in progress. We stopped it, and then in the process freed some Iranian fishermen and sent them home and back to their freedom. So all in all, it was a very successful deployment.
The crew's first task, back on U.S. soil, take out the trash. Hundreds of sailors and crewmen carried thousands of bags off the carrier by hand. But the treat after the physical labor was sweet, as the loving arms of their patient families waited for that first embrace. The weight bearing down on Lisa until finally she was united with her sailor.
Just taking out the trash and getting off the boat. Now we're going to get married.
That's right, married, as soon as they get back to Kapolei. But the celebration will be short, as John and the rest of the crew are scheduled to return back to their home port in Washington State after the weekend.
KITV4, more local morning news continues.
Aloha, I'm Nate Serota, and thank you for joining us. Here are your day's headlines. Paris is on high security alert today as authorities try to track down the woman at the center of the recent terror attacks. She's now believed to be hiding in Syria. An additional 500 troops were stationed on the streets of Paris as dozens of world leaders arrived today. Those leaders include Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. Memorials are sprouting up as the Charlie Hebdo magazine vows to rise again and publish 1 million copies next week. Huge crowds taking to the streets this morning, standing up for free speech against terrorism. An update on the search for the wreckage from AirAsia Flight 8501. More pings have been heard today from 2 locations about 20 yards apart in the Java Sea. Searchers hope those leads will help to find the cockpit data recorder from the crash plane. Experts believe they may have detached when the plane crashed in December, which was carrying 162 people. Search crews have recovered the tail section from the plane. It was brought to the surface using inflatable balloons. Back here on the islands, an update on the Kapolei teenager who died in an accident yesterday morning. Friends say he was a recent Damien Memorial School graduate who wanted to be a police officer. Police say the teenager, identified by friends as Lyndon Quintal, was traveling southwest on Farrington Highway around 4 in the morning when he lost control of his Toyota Corolla and crashed into a tree. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Quintal was returning to Damien this season to help prepare the Monarchs for the ILH Championship.
I couldn't believe what I heard. I sat in the car for a while. I was headed to Damien to pick up the balls for the game today. And I cried for about 15 minutes straight. Went to the gym in the locker room, and I just sat there. I love him dearly. I miss him dearly. We're all going to miss him.
Police say speed appears to be a factor, and they're reminding everyone to be careful on the roadways. This is the 6th traffic fatality of the new year. In economic news, a new borrowing deal for the rail project could help save millions of dollars in interest payments. Mayor Kirk Caldwell hopes under a new measure the project's total costs will be trimmed by $60 to $70 million. The Honolulu City Council will reconsider Resolution 15-7 this week. Under it, the city would issue bonds in smaller increments than originally planned to help fund the rail and to keep interest payments low. Homeowners in a certain tax class are being urged to appeal a tax rate squeeze by this Thursday. Longtime realtor Schuyler Lucky Cole wants everyone in the residential A tax class to raise an objection and appeal their tax assessments. Those in that tax class who have properties valued at $1 million or more do not come under a homeowner exemption. Cole is reigniting the debate over property taxes, focusing on who should pay more and who should pay less. Those taxes are the city's main source of revenue. On the Big Island, lava breakouts are slowly moving, with a northern lobe advancing about 30 yards since Friday. The front of that flow was approaching Pahoa Marketplace. However, it has stalled. Geologists say minor changes in ground tilt were recorded at the summit at Pu'u'o Crater. The Pahoa Solid Waste Transfer Station closed 2 months ago because of the flow. It is not expected to reopen on March 1st as previously scheduled. Crews say the facility will be ready for use after equipment is reinstalled, fencing is replaced, and electricity is reconnected. Those are your morning headlines. I'm Nate Serota. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.
Volatile and sacred, those words describe Israel's largest city. KITV4 photographer Nate Serota takes us on to one of the holiest sites in Jerusalem.
It is a view seen by tens of millions over thousands of years, yet each person sees the ancient city in a different way. For Christians, it is the place of Christ's crucifixion. For Muslims, the site of Muhammad's night journey, and for Jews, the ancient capital of King David's Israel. All agree it is the holiest of cities. And the most sacred site in the Jewish faith is the Wall. It is the only remnant of the temple that once stood on this hill. First called the Wailing Wall because its name translates to a place of weeping, it's called the Western Wall today, where prayers are said and heard.
I feel something really special in my heart when I come here. I feel really close to my history and my heritage, and it's just a feeling that you get, and it makes me feel holy as well and part of something greater than myself.
Every day, the plaza fills with thousands of pilgrims from across the globe, eager to deposit prayer and chant at what once supported the now destroyed Second Temple. But not every visitor shares that transcendental experience.
It felt special being at the site. I didn't feel any inner spiritualness or anything, but it felt good, I guess, in my heart just to you know, do it for the tradition.
What visitors see in the plaza is only half of the actual wall. The stones extend 43 more feet below the floor, reaching into layers of soil and rock, no doubt tread by the prophets and sages of 3 great religions.